Have y'all seen this? May he rest in peace. Welcome to She Knows DNA. My name is Miavana, and I am a board-certified genetic counselor. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, surely you have seen the news and even articles come out about actor Eric Dane, where if you watched Grey's Anatomy, you know him as McSteamy, has passed away from a condition called ALS, which he passed away about 10 months after he had made this diagnosis public. I guarantee you that this is not the first time that you have heard about this condition. Does anybody remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? And then here are some other celebrities who have also had a diagnosis of ALS and have unfortunately passed away. Yes, there is the physicist, there is the creator of SpongeBob, and the late great Grammy Award winning Roberta Flack. And we can't forget about the baseball player Lou Gehrig. So what is this condition that we know of as ALS? Don't worry, I got you. Let's get into it. Let's talk about amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, otherwise known as ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease. According to the ALS Foundation, it is defined as a progressive disease in which a person's brain loses connection with the muscles, slowly taking away their ability to walk, talk, eat, and eventually breathe. Motor neurons are in charge of connecting our brain and spinal cord to our muscles. That's how they talk to each other. But for ALS, the motor neurons are damaged. And so basically over time, because of that damage of those neurons, the brain wants to talk to the muscles to get them moving how we would like them to. But that connection is damaged, so they can't hear each other. Whenever you get symptoms, everything is not going to hit you at one. You'll start seeing some signs and then it'll worsen over time. Common symptoms of ALS include muscle weakness, of course, muscle cramps and spasms, trouble breathing, slow and slurred speech, difficulty swallowing, digestive issues, anxiety and depression, and cognitive impairment. This condition may start off by having little signs like you're having trouble swallowing or even walking. And then as it progresses on the inside, there's paralysis. Your muscles literally don't work anymore. Usually how people pass away is some type of respiratory or breathing complication. Please remember that everyone with ALS, they present differently. As a person that's affected gets to basically that last stage of their life, what they describe it as you'll be locked in, essentially. You are paralyzed, you can't move, right? But when you're locked in, that means that you're still aware. You can still move your eyes, but you can't communicate, you can't talk, you can't move, but you're fully aware. So that has to be scary. Now, there are multiple ways as to how someone can get ALS. First, we have the most common type, which about 90% of people that actually do have ALS, you'll notice that they have a history of some type of environmental or lifestyle factor, which can include, but not limited to, being in the military, a head injury, electric shock, excessive exercising, exposure to toxins and chemicals, viral infections, and smoking. What does that sound like to y'all? Everyone say it with me. Epigenetics! Good job, class. But about 10% of all people that have ALS, it is a result of a genetic mutation. There is not just one gene that can lead to ALS. As of right now, research has found about 20 genes to where if there is a defect or a spelling change in its DNA that we call a mutation, then that would lead to someone having ALS. If the ALS is in fact caused by a mutation in one of the genes in our bodies, then a lot of times you'll see some other person in your family, at least one or two, that may also have ALS. That is what we'll call familial. And then technically for the sporadic ones, that's where, there's no family history. Yes, some of those can also still be caused by a genetic factor. But with these, even whether it's familial or if it is sporadic, if there is that one gene, then that means that whoever got it first, then yes, it can pass through the bloodline. Majority of them follow an autosomal dominant inheritance pattern. And that means that each of their children have a 50-50 chance of inheriting that non-working copy or being completely unaffected. Of course, it has to be a little extra. So it is not 100% penetrant. What that means is just because you may have inherited a non-working copy of any of those genes, that does not mean that 100% that you will get that condition. Now, I will say the older you get, that risk increases. So for example, I know for some of these genes, about 90% of those that actually have a defect in one of those genes should have ALS by around 70 years old. Males are more likely to have ALS versus females. For females, they're more likely to start symptoms at a younger age than males. For those that have that familial ALS, or essentially they have a defect in one of those genes, those persons are usually going to start seeing symptoms way earlier than those that may have ALS due to a exposure or some type of environmental factor. Regardless of what the cause was for a person's ALS, once they start showing symptoms, then they are expected to live around maybe 2 to 7 years after that. And yes, it varies, but it is something that almost basically is inevitable. In order to find out if someone has ALS, they cannot just straight up have genetic testing and be like, okay, we're done. Unfortunately, it doesn't like to be that simple either, because some of the genes that we do know if they have a defect can lead to ALS, they also can make or lead to another type of condition. For example, there is a special type of dementia that is also caused by the same and most common gene defect that is in ALS. Also, ALS is not the only condition that causes that damage to the motor neurons that can lead to similar symptoms. So we do not want people to be misdiagnosed, even though sometimes that can happen. So these other types of testings in the series of things that may happen are very important. And yes, that does include things like maybe having to get a whole lot of blood work. There may be some MRIs, they may do nerve studies, muscle biopsies, or even a spinal tap. There is no cure for ALS at this time. However, there is a multitude of treatment that is out there that tries to help at least slower the progression of that muscle weakness, even though it knows it can't stop it. Which leads me to the ice bucket challenge. Chad, I remember like it was yesterday. It was the summer of 2014. They would say I was nominated by such and such, and so now I'm going to nominate you, and you to do this. And then they would pour a big old bucket of ice cold water over your head. What that did was, one, bring awareness to ALS because everyone was just doing it. It was a trend. But on top of throwing ice water on you, you were supposed to donate money to ALS research. I didn't, because they were able to raise a whole lot of money. And that is very important because it takes money to do research in order for us to try to find the cure of these conditions. But long story short, I hope this video not only lets you know what ALS is, but also why there's so much coverage, especially for some of these celebrities that I talked about at the beginning that have had it. And it has to be a scary, scary, scary condition for them. And then even, of course, for their family members and loved ones that are just trying to be there present as that person transitions. And now to leave you with words of wisdom. Choose your friends wisely. Choose your circle wisely. Let me tell you something about my people. They gonna do it all for me, okay? Do you hear me? For somehow they pulled off, along with my family and my mama, they pulled off a surprise birthday party for me. They even tracked down some of my friends that I've made down here in Texas. Who does that? My friends, my family, okay? These are the same friends that whenever I ended up sick one time, and they all came looking for me, all because I did not text back as fast as I usually do. What I mean, they came looking for me as in I was hospitalized, and then randomly one day I see two of my friends walking in the door. Mind you, nobody told me I was there. They went calling. That's the type of friends I got. Do you hear me? They can make or break you, honey. They are amazing. So to my mom, to my daddy, to my granny and gramps, to my nana, to sweetie, Aisha, all my cousins, to my friends and family and cousins and sisters that were there, I thank y'all. Because everybody ain't got no real friends. Everybody don't have real friends. You know who are some people that don't have real friends? People that be walking out the house looking any kind of way. You know? Like, who lets you do that? That ain't no real friend. A real friend wouldn't be calling you bald-headed the entire friendship. Let me get out of that. That ain't no real friend. Y'all, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for continuing to support She Knows DNA. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. Okay? Share. Now remember, I may not post on Tuesdays. Right now, here recently, I've been posting on like a Friday or even a Saturday. Listen, just know that it is my heart's desire to post at least once a week. A full video, a new full video at least once a week, whatever day that may be. So that means you got to turn on your notifications. This means you might as well just watch some older videos until I surprise and drop a video on you. You got to be ready. I want to be ready. You just want to be ready. Okay? Well, y'all, may God bless you. May He keep you. And I will see you next time, okay? Bye. I love my friends. I love my family. I'm very blessed. Do start with blessed. Yeah, God is good. God is good, honey. Deuce, you got something to say about your friends? Deuce is friends with everybody, even if you don't know that you his friend. Oh, trust me. Y'all friends. He gonna force that on you. Ain't that right? Because we are friendly people. That's right. I love my family. Y'all are the best.